So I am here with Zombieshark. Very happy to have Cory here. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell me a bit about the project.
Yeah, sure. My name's Cory Swope, and I play synth and do vocals and just about everything in Zombie Shark.
So the new record can't even begin to explain the influences. That's about the first thing I realized is it was so jarring. And caught your interview with Metal Trenches, and I know that I heard there was just so much that went into the record from your own head. And I'm just
Yeah,
wondering, when you were going into the project, when you were going into the record, did you have a good idea that you wanted to incorporate all those elements, or did they just come out because it was what was in your mind at the time?
yeah. So, uh, the Zombie Shark like time pretty fucked up, or at least was like pretty fucked up for like the last 2 years prior.
Hmm.
So I originally like when I put out Digital C, it was me and my friend Jeff Brown who plays in this metalcore band from Lancaster called Ascent Like Wolves. And pretty much like with the Digital C, like I was the one who was like originally composing everything and like the songwriting and whatever. And when Jeff joined back in like 2013, we kind of switched it up where he was kind of like doing like the primary songwriting. I was still doing vocals and like accompanying like synth work and stuff. But as far as like songwriting structure goes, like I really didn't have too much of a hand in the like the guitar and like drum parts and whatever. So when we pretty much decided to like end up just getting like really busy with life and everything, so I still wanted to like continue the project yet, but I'm really terrible with like guitar and producing and stuff in general. So I don't know. I just started writing out like these demos. It was like the first time that I'd like really like just was writing like full on material myself, and I knew I was gonna like try and like take it my stuff somewhere to like get like produced. I reached a point where I was kind of like I didn't know if I was gonna like release like kind of like a MIDI demo cybergrind type album, or if I really wanted to like kind of like go back and like really give it attention. And my really close friend in Philly here is Sam Carlin, who's an amazing musician and producer. We were just like hanging out one day, and I was showing him like some of the stuff I was working on, and then we just ended up teaming up together and like working together on like producing it and everything. So I guess it was kind of like 2 or 3, maybe even close to like 4 years worth of ideas that I've been wanting to like see come into fruition. So that's probably why it sounds like so all over the place.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes it so unique. It's some gnarly shit in the sense of like there's so many influences that it feels so eclectic without ever becoming too much. And when it comes to the production,
Mm,
I definitely get what you mean that it does sound a lot different than the initial material. This seems
yeah,
like its own entity, almost like sort of a rebirth of the project. And
right.
with the production, like so much of the time you hear synths and symphonics and they just sound
Mm,
cheesy, corny, fake. They don't sound like they're implemented well, but it really
right.
did sound like electronics and metal meeting at like a solid middle ground. And I'm just wondering, as someone that does do production, something that was really interesting to me is hearing how the electronics were implemented so equalized and so well made. I'm just
Right.
wondering, was the metal instrumentation more difficult to do than the electronics? Because I almost feel like the electronics would be difficult to put in a way that makes sense, in a way.
Right. I mean, it wasn't really difficult for me. I guess like kind of the fucked up part is like I feel like I've been like writing like cyber grind like kind of stuff like at least with Zombie Shark for probably since like 2010. And yeah, like I don't know. I have like a really pretty like diverse like musical palette. Same with Sam, and it's sort of like I kind of like grew up like really into like scene culture, and like I was super much into like heavy low low, like See You Next Tuesday, Gangustron, Horse the Band, like all of those like really crazy like
Over the
bands that
top, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And later on, like probably like my senior year of like high school into like college, like I just really started to get invested in like electronica and like all kinds of like different electronic music. Like even most of the time now, like I'm listening to a lot more like electronic music, metal for the most part, and I listen to like a lot of like drum and bass, like jungle, IDM, like plunderphonics, like really like a whole like kind of array, like even like vaporwave stuff to a degree. And I don't know, it's a really weird like kind of musical process because like I kind of write it from like entirely from the headspace of like I don't know, I guess like a EDM producer, I guess, rather before like coming at it with like a metal. And even on like some of the newer stuff I'm writing now, like I'm finding a lot more electronic bits and then like implementing like hard parts when it needs to be hard. Like a lot of like, it's hard to describe, like a lot of like, you know, like dubstep almost kind of like sounds like it has like metal influences with like breakdowns and stuff. And I don't know, I'm always like super interested in like combining genres and mashing it up and trying to find like a fair mix, you know, because I feel like I really don't play like any kind of like real instruments outside of like a little bit of piano and I mean I guess like playing like synthesizers and stuff like that. But um yeah, so like I've always like kind of like approached music from like a producer like standpoint strictly, like going forward to it. And I always kind of like try to like keep the headspace. Well, it's like if I'm writing music in a with a laptop that has like infinite possibilities, making sure that there's no like human playable parts like with the drums or anything, you know, like almost every song on the album is like 250 BPM to
Oh,
300
yeah.
and above. You know, so I just figured, you know, it's like if there's a lot of people I know that write music strictly like production wise, and like people are always trying to like push the boundaries and stuff, but never in a way that's I guess like taken with like a grain of like irony in a sense, you know, where everything is like just maxed out. But I don't know. I love working with like endless possibilities, you know. And I didn't want to like completely just make it like all insane, you know. I wanted to like break it up too and like sort of flex like a different array of like um electronic genres too, like in amongst the album.
Well, yeah, that makes sense because, like you said, you didn't want to overdo like it. You didn't want to sound blown the fuck out. In other words, like you didn't want it to
Yeah.
just be a forgettable thing where it's like it's really heavy in the moment but really forgettable. I mean, in like some of the interlude tracks, like you said, like there's these vaporwave drifting, like very IDM inspired type of instrumentals, and it's like it's not something you hear very often. And I guess one major thing I was wondering is going into that record, was there any specific artists or bands you were really like bopping the hell out of at the time that really like you inspired a great deal of the record from?
I was actually talking to Metal Trenches about this, John, but I like 2 years ago, like right around like 2017. I don't know why it was or what, but I got like obsessively into like rediscovering like new metal and like early new metal albums. Slipknot's self-titled and Iowa
Iowa,
specific,
yeah.
absolutely like something like hit me like one night that like the whole fact of like they were interesting for the time because of for one like their speed, you know, like everything like every single one of their songs for like even compared to like Korn and you know other like new metal bands that were coming out like Soulfly and shit like that, like nobody matched like Slipknot's speed and like aggression. And there was just something about like the Slipknot being like the most over the top, insane, fucking everything is like max the fuck out like type band. You know, it's like there's fucking all right, so it's like we're gonna be a metal band and we're gonna be like the angriest fucking metal band of all time, and we're gonna have like 10 fucking members. We're gonna have like two keyboardists, three drummers. We're gonna have a fucking vocalist that like doesn't take a single fucking breath like during like all of it, you know. And like I really started to like get even to the point, you know, I feel like Sid and Craig are like some of the most underrated fucking members of that band because
Yeah.
even like during like self-titled, like the implementation of like electronics over like the metal in a way that was like noisy and weird. Like there's a lot of like really cool experimentation that happens like on both of those albums that just for some reason like has never been like replicated by any of those other bands like at the time. Slipknot's like whole fucking ideology, at least like during like the early '90s, and in between there, like I was also like really going back and listening to a lot of like classic like scene core type albums, like Sky's Airplanes, Everything Perfect on the Wrong Day, and like Genghis Tron's Dead Mountain Mouth.
Yeah.
A lot of like revisiting those, like, and I'm also like a huge like diehard like fucking like Doctor too. So I was like just going back and like kind of like re-listening to, or giving like a full re-listen to all of like these albums that I loved musically. And even though they were albums that like a lot of people like didn't like or anything, like I have like a really bad habit of just finding like beautiful things and things that people absolutely fucking despise.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I don't want to go
something
like
so
too hard
cheesy
into
about
it because
just how cheesy they were. Like they were so fucking dumb. But
I dude, like I could honestly like talk for hours about how fucking sick like Dr. Ocula and early Design the Skyline were, and so many of my friends and my partner are so sick of so fucking sick of hearing me talk
oh yeah,
about
I'll fucking defend asking
this
Alexandria to the end of the earth. Fucking stand up and scream. Why not?
yeah,
You're like fucking
right.
so overblown. The one thing that I noticed about you saying Slipknot is like at the time, not only were they innovating by being heavy and doing these things, but they were also being accessible and like widely received. And I think they
Yeah,
proved that new metal wasn't just this cheesy, corny thing that a lot of bands were making where they felt like they had to be commercially viable. Because so many times you see these breakthrough metal bands that are very heavy, very low tuned, just very
right.
chaotic, but they still maintain some sort of playability. You know, Mastodon, Slipknot,
Mhm.
Avatar, like these big Meshuggah, Gojira, these bands
Right.
that they have an appeal, and I think it goes to show that at the end of the day, people are going to listen to the music if it's good. It's not about how heavy or soft it is. And Slipknot, especially their first two records, like don't want to discredit the rest, but there was some
Right.
sort of energy that Iowa and the self-titled had, and it was just it was something else entirely that I don't think, like you said, any band would be able to replicate. Now, I guess the thing that I'm wondering is, in the future of the project, do you plan on sticking somewhat to the same formula, or are there different things that you would like to explore on a future project?
A lot of what I've been writing currently is pretty much like I Will Destroy You, but pushed further. Like I haven't Sam decided yet if we're gonna do an EP or wait to do another full length album. Already, like a lot of the songs are longer, longer by my standards, because I mean I Will Destroy is like 12 tracks and like
Mm-hmm.
only like 20 minutes long. I've got 5 tracks now that are all coming in at around like 17 minutes in total, and it's pretty much a lot of the same. It's a lot more focus on breakcore elements and a lot more exploration of gabber too. A lot, but it's still like twisted in a lot of like more like metalcore influences and everything. Trying to find like a nice like fair balance between like scrams and breakcore, I think, is
Yeah.
probably going to
Oh
be
my
like
god, holy
the
shit, I haven't heard
future.
screamo called Scrams in a while. That's a throwback. Sorry, that caught me off guard.
No, you're good. Yeah, it's a lot different like going into this newer stuff now, because so much of I Will Destroy You was more of like a celebration of like all the things that I've like been super influenced by and everything. And I think like the songs that I've been writing now probably have like even less of an influence, like merely a fraction of the kind that I had like at that time. So I'm really just kind of like trying to gather songs that are just pretty off the wall. Like there's like a lot of like there's a lot of abandoning all kinds of time signatures on this new album too. Like there's like just breakdowns that don't follow any kind of time signature at all, and it's all like very glitched out and like kind of like all over the place. So I'm also trying to look at just completely getting rid of the whole element of music theory on the next work.
Throw caution to the wall, make something blown out.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
it's gonna be really weird. I'm really stoked
I
for it.
bet. I can't wait to hear it. I mean, Another thing that I noticed is you have major rounds in terms of people really taking note of this release specifically. I mean, I know that I saw like Anthony Fantano tweeted about it. And it was just like humongous to see that, and I've had multiple people recommend it beforehand. I had friends mention it. I'm just like, in general, what's your thoughts of the reception of this record? I mean, would you eventually like to tour? Would you eventually like to, reach out and do more bigger collaborations? Or
Oh yeah, I mean this whole year, I really had planned to take take Zombieshark by storm. I had a couple planned this year that didn't pan out, which was like super unfortunate. But yeah, I had like a 2 week tour planned with one of my good friends from Philly here, Hallucinogenic Bulb, who does like noise stuff. His work is really fucking awesome. But yeah, I was planning on. I'm definitely planning on like doing like touring and like playing like big shows and stuff for next year. Uh, in the Nintendo Core and cybergrind world, who are actively touring right now, or being like more active. Like we're all planning on getting together to do either some kind of like big Nintendo Core festival thing, or just set up like a bunch of weekenders and tours and everything. The reception has been honestly insane. I can. I'm extremely humbled and continually just blown away by people's receptions of it. I mean, even just having this podcast right now, like talking to you and saying that people were recommending it to you is crazy to me, because like I really like was working on this album like with genuinely zero intention or any kind of idea that anybody would like this. It's sort of fucked in a way where it's like, I've been writing like cybergrind and Nintendo Core and like other kinds of like electronic music stuff for about like 10 years. And even at the time I released Digital C, like I had like a small group of people that had followed me for a while and followed like my art and music and everything. And when this came out, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I sold more merch in 2 weeks than I ever entire 10 years of like doing this project. I mean, I sold like 100 CDs in 2.5 weeks, and then sold out of 50 cassette tapes like in a matter of hours. And the Anthony Fantano thing was crazy too. I do like graphic design, uh, freelance illustration and stuff. Was pretty much my full-time job, and I actually had done a couple shirt designs 2014, and then I did another handful of designs for him around 2016, I think. But we don't like it was very like client to very client casual, like we never really like talked, and I never even really showed Anthony Fantano like any of my music, even when we were working. And I know he followed me on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. I'm guessing he must have seen it during then. The whole thing was like super unexpected. I like sent him an email. It's like, dude, thank you like so much. Like I don't even know what to say. It was just really really a crazy fucking experience.
absolutely. I mean, why do you personally think that I Will Destroy You resonated so much with so many people compared to the previous material? Do you think it resonated because of how much was put into it, heart and passion?
I mean, I'd like to think so. It's probably like one of the most personal um, art projects that I've ever worked on. I mean, most of my close friends and everything knew that I was working on this for quite some time, and most people outside of like my partner and my are the only people that I had really shown it to in its entirety during the process. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was expecting that people were going to be like excited about it, and like my friend group and everything was going to be really awesome and supportive about it. But I don't know. I kind of wrote down like a lot of things that I was like going through like the last 2 years, and I don't know. I like to think that like lyrical topics and stuff like people were able to connect with, and I had a couple people actually message me not too long ago saying that they felt like a deep like connection to the album and everything, and I started like almost fucking crying honestly because I was just like holy shit, like I never in my life thought I would ever be capable of just like making something that could have an impact
Yeah,
on someone's life.
that would just
It's a
click with
really
someone. I mean, lyricism is so important, and I think a lot of times when people hear just really overblown fast music, it's like, oh, it probably they're not even saying anything. They're probably just like mumbling. But like,
yeah
there's metal music has such a heart to it in so many cases. Like where metal bands, save lives, that they impact people so deeply that it's like they speak out about something that people need to hear at the time. And I definitely think
yeah
that this record has a lot of like you can tell when someone's really feeling the elements that they're putting into their music. So I definitely have to commend you for all you did for the record
yeah.
in terms of lyricism.
Oh shit, yo! Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Seriously, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like the whole like kind of like deal with the album. I at first like when I was like kind of like writing it, I was kind of like in the headspace of that. Like I was this like the last kind of musical anything I put out.
Hmm.
So the whole idea of the album is just like how your passions can turn around and kill you, and how like uh the whole concept of like following your dreams but leading you off a fucking cliff, and the whole concept is like kind of mirrored like talking back to me in a way of like like I will destroy you myself and everything I've ever loved, being like
Such a
um
haunting title.
the whole concept of yeah, like the whole concept of just self-defeat, and how like you're a burnout artist kind of
Well, yeah,
idea,
you put everything you can into like what you love because you feel like hard work pays off. But I mean, in many situations, hard work isn't all it takes. Like
Right.
there's people who bust their ass for years and never get the recognition. So I mean, to that concept in general is just touching in the sense of, you know, it just is chilling. Like just the title alone, just it has such a it's like a vibe in and of itself. Just the title alone, just it really gives you a good feel for it.
And I think that's a lot of things that's sort of like a weird taboo thing that I feel like most content creators and artists and just creators in general like have in the back of their head, when shit's not like going right. And it's sort of like addressing like a very primal like of failure, I think, and total just like you wasted your entire fucking life and here's where you're at kind of thing.
Yeah, like where do I go from here? I mean, that is true. Like any type of creator, it's like you really can't win as any sort of like creator because either you're it's not working out and you're feeling like do I keep going or do I just let myself be a failure? And if you are succeeding, you feel like oh this is temporary, it's gonna go away, I'm gonna be irrelevant eventually, it's gonna fall out. Like no matter what, there's always gonna be this like burning that's like when's this gonna end? You know.
And that sort of ties into the whole like thing of the album being like a whole 20-minute long panic attack of like those kind of ideas and like making you frantic. And then like in the last song Way the World Looked at Me, which is like the ultimate self-portrait of the album, I wanted to purposely make that like fade out just like a star,
Such a culmination of
or it just
everything.
leaves you like like you're at the end of the fucking world, and now you are nothing.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when you reach the edge, where's there to go? Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
It does feel like the culmination of everything on the prior record. It's like you said, the whole panic attack like mentality is true because it's so fast, it's so speedy, and then you'll just hit these interlude bits that are just so drifty and it's like that almost like anxious, melancholic depression, like that, like
Yeah,
those low points spiking right back into the high points, like back and forth, just up and down.
exactly.
That really does feel true to that whole that feeling of the roller coaster of being an artist, being a creator. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it just
Exactly.
stings.
It's Human Condition, the soundtrack.
Zombieshark, Human Condition, 2020. I feel like the record wouldn't have had the same impact if it was just called The Human Condition.
Ooh, that would have been. That's actually good.
Actually sounds like a pop. In fact, that is a pop album. Pretty sure John Bellion wrote a record called The Human Condition.
Oh shit! Well, Zombieshark's about to steal that shit.
Oh yeah, yoink it. Yeah, it doesn't belong.
That shit's mine now, bitch.
That ain't intellectual property. I'm gonna yoink that shit.
I got your intellectual property right here.
I got 2 intellectual property. Zombieshark's in your location.
I'd like to speak to the CEO of intellectual property. I made you a sandwich.
Bruh. Well, I just wanted to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And obviously I would absolutely love to do this again sometime with new material or any sort of thing like that. Absolutely.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on this. Seriously, this was so cool. And I would absolutely love to come on soon. Sam and I are currently working on a new single tentatively. We have the bones written out and everything, and I think we might. I don't know if we're going to be able to get it done by the end of the year, but I think we're going to like really try to do a new single and then maybe some from "I Will Destroy You" or like an acoustic rendition or something. I don't know. We're still talking about all of it right now.
Something is hilarious about if it wasn't toned down and it was just acoustic guitars and then the normal vocals. So it was just literally just like the most peaceful thing, and then just the highest shrieks and fucking growls.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be gross for sure. It's not. We have some pretty fun ideas for. I think we might do one for Mirror Maze, or we thought it would be really funny to do an acoustic version of Computer Kids, because that song is
how are you even going to do the start of that? Like,
I'm not quite sure either, but we're just gonna have to stock up on a lot of beer and weed and figure it out.
Yeah, I play it by ear. Just, bro, that guitar's about to be fingered.
Yeah. Oh my god. Zombieshark unplugged.
Plugged in.
Plugged in. Charged up.
Zombieshark charged up. Zombieshark fucking gassed up.
All gas, no blast. I don't know.
I just thought I would say this. I genuinely mean it when I say I've done quite a few interviews, and you've definitely been the best. I just want to say that.
Oh, I'm glad, yo.
But definitely, I would love to talk again. Would be amazing. Very much looking forward to any new material.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just hit me up on Twitter whenever you want to try and do something. Just let me know. Absolutely. And I'll keep you posted with some new stuff. For sure. Some new stuff to come around.
Definitely. So, any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to plug? Any final words? Makes it sound like an execution, but...
Yeah, my last words. Well, I just gotta plug the homies real quick. Ascent Like Wolves, Viscera, Blind Equation, Mikau, Codex Orzhova, Hallucinogenic Bulb, Sleep Sculptor, all the homies, I Killed Techno. Yeah, pretty much it.
Did you say Viscera, the band?
Oh no, okay. So my one of my best friends, Brandon, he has like a digital hardcore cybergrind project called Viscera that I didn't actually realize until the other day that on Spotify it links to a different Viscera.
Yeah, Viscera. What I was gonna say is Viscera is actually my my outro song is a Viscera song, and that's.
Oh shit!
So I was like, wow, you know Viscera.
Fuck no, oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah, no, I need to figure out how to change that shit, because everybody's been asking me about that. Like, People have just been like coming up being like, "Oh, dude, like, how'd you get like Viscera on that album?" I'm like, I don't know, like he's one of my close friends, and he was just like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" So
Yeah, I was apprehensive
I
to
was
mention it
actually
because
just
when I saw it on the record, I was like, "Wait!" I had to do a double take, so I was like, what?" And then I just went to the thing, and it was a different Viscera, and I was like, "Hmm."
yeah, I need to change that real quick. But no, my friend Brandon has a drum and bass, or it's like a like breakcore, but with like screamed vocals over it. Very Machine Girl, Genghis Tron ass. Been like writing music together for like fucking ages, and yeah, no, he's got like an album out right now called Annihilation, which is really fucking sick, and you should check it out. I think his like handle now is like Viscera 808 or 808 for his social medias and stuff. So I just want to clarify that it is that Viscera, not
Got it.
death metal Viscera.
Got it. Well, thank you very much. It was really fun to have you on here. Appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate it.